Enoch and the 10 heavens. What he saw will terrify you. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the skies, beyond the stars, beyond the very limits of human understanding? What if I told you that one man, Enoch, was taken on a journey through realms no human has ever walked, through 10 heavens, each more astonishing and terrifying than the last? This is not a story of imagination. This is a divine revelation. Enoch walked with God, and because of his righteousness, he was shown secrets of creation, angels, and the destiny of humanity that even the boldest hearts would tremble to witness. What he saw will shock you, inspire awe, and fill you with both fear and reverence for the majesty of Jesus. Imagine visions of angelic hosts in perfect order, realms of blinding light and terrifying chambers of judgment where sin and rebellion are revealed in their fullness. The holiness of God, the authority of the heavens, and the fate of the wicked were all laid bare before Enoch's eyes, and it is recorded for us to understand, to fear, and to prepare. Today, you will journey with Enoch, exploring each of the 10 heavens, discovering secrets that were hidden from humanity, and encountering truths that challenge everything we think we know about the spiritual world. You will see why obedience, righteousness, and walking closely with Jesus are not optional, but vital for surviving the times to come. The visions of Enoch are both a warning and a call to live faithfully, to seek God's presence, and to understand that the universe is far greater, far more holy, and far more terrifying than most dare to imagine. Prepare your heart, because what you are about to learn will open your eyes to the hidden realities of heaven and the powerful, awe-inspiring presence of Jesus, and it will change the way you walk in this world forever. Part 1. Who was Enoch and why he was taken? Enoch was no ordinary man. In the long line of Adam's descendants, he stood out because he walked with God. This simple phrase, found in Genesis, carries profound meaning. Walking with God was not a casual stroll. It was a continuous, intimate relationship that shaped every decision, every thought, every step of his life. Enoch's life was marked by obedience, faith, and righteousness in a world that was increasingly corrupt. He did not conform to the patterns of the world, nor did he allow the darkness around him to influence his heart. His faith was steadfast, and his dedication was unwavering. It is this remarkable walk with Jesus that drew the attention of the Almighty and opened the door to visions that would terrify and inspire anyone who hears of them. God took Enoch not as a punishment, not as a mere reward, but to reveal the hidden realities of the universe. He was shown mysteries of creation, the hierarchy of angels, the structure of the heavens, and the future destiny of humankind. Enoch's ascension was unique. No other human had been granted such direct access to the divine realms. He was taken to witness the celestial order, the interplay between light and darkness, the glory of the holy, and the terrifying consequences of sin. This was a journey that would overwhelm the senses and imprint eternal truths on his soul. Enoch's righteousness positioned him as a bridge between heaven and earth. He was both a witness and a messenger. He saw realms where angels ministered, where the wicked were restrained, and where the mysteries of judgment and mercy were revealed. His role was to return to humanity with knowledge that was impossible to obtain through human effort or earthly study. The visions granted to him were meant to instruct, warn, and inspire those who would hear his account. They were not meant to terrify for the sake of fear alone, but to awaken the heart to God's holiness, His majesty, and the reality of spiritual realms that exist beyond mortal perception. Walking with God prepared Enoch for the unimaginable. The human mind struggles to comprehend what he experienced, yet the account is clear. There are layers of heaven, each with its own purpose, structure, and order. The 10 heavens revealed to Enoch contained beings of immense power, divine phenomena, and truths about the world and the afterlife that would shake any unprepared heart. Enoch's obedience, his constant alignment with God's will, and his faithful walk enabled him to endure these revelations without being consumed by fear. His life teaches us that intimacy with Jesus is not optional. It is the foundation for understanding the divine and encountering truths that surpass human imagination. Enoch's journey reminds us that God rewards faithfulness with revelation. He saw things that most humans cannot even imagine, yet the principles he learned are accessible to all who walk with Jesus faithfully. Obedience, humility, and constant communion with God prepare the believer to endure divine revelation without being overwhelmed. Enoch's life and his journey to the 10 heavens illustrate the immense blessing and responsibility of walking with the Lord. Those who walk closely with Jesus today have the same potential for insight, protection, and spiritual empowerment, though perhaps not in the exact forms Enoch experienced. The key lesson is clear. Intimacy with God opens doors to divine truths that transform life and perspective. The purpose of Enoch's ascent was also to serve as a warning and encouragement. By witnessing the realities of heaven and the consequences of rebellion, he was uniquely positioned to instruct humanity. His visions emphasized the holiness of God, the power and organization of the angelic realm, and the certainty of divine judgment. The journey demonstrates that God's mysteries are revealed to those who seek Him faithfully, and that spiritual preparedness is essential for encountering His glory. Enoch was taken as a model for what it means to live righteously, to be faithful amidst corruption, and to remain in constant alignment with the divine. Part 2. The first 5 heavens, glories and horrors. The first 5 heavens, as revealed to Enoch, are layers of existence that both inspire awe and provoke fear. They are realms of immense beauty and divine order, yet they also contain elements that remind humanity of God's holiness and the consequences of sin. In these heavens, Enoch observed angelic hosts in their assigned roles, spaces filled with light and glory and structures beyond human comprehension. Each layer served a purpose, and the progression from the first to the 5th heaven revealed increasingly complex aspects of creation, worship, and divine governance. In the first heaven, Enoch saw the immediate celestial realm above the earth. This is where angels move among the stars, overseeing natural phenomena and ministering to the faithful. The light here was pure and untainted, and the order of the angels demonstrated the precision of God's plan. The beauty was overwhelming, yet the sheer holiness of the place inspired a fear rooted in reverence. Even those who serve in this realm are fully aware of the immense power of Jesus and His authority over all creation. Enoch's reaction reminds us that encountering holiness requires humility and awe, for the human heart is unprepared for the unfiltered majesty of the divine. The 2nd heaven contained the spiritual reserves of judgment and restraint. Here, fallen angels were restrained, and the consequences of rebellion were visible. Enoch observed beings that had defied God's will, confined in ways that revealed both mercy and justice. The presence of punishment alongside glory created a sense of fear that was balanced by understanding. God's sovereignty ensures that all things are held accountable. These visions underscore the reality that sin is never overlooked, and that divine justice is certain and righteous. The first lesson is clear. Holiness and obedience protect the faithful, while rebellion invites consequences. In the 3rd heaven, Enoch witnessed realms of worship. Angels and the heavenly host engaged in unceasing praise, illuminating the depth of devotion required to serve in God's presence. The light here was blinding, and the melodies indescribable, stirring both awe and terror in those unprepared. Enoch's experience shows that heaven is not a static place of rest. It is dynamic, vibrant, and overflowing with energy that reflects God's glory. This heaven emphasizes the importance of worship and alignment with God's purpose, reminding us that our spiritual lives on earth are meant to mirror this devotion. The fourth heaven revealed a place of governance and cosmic order. Here, Enoch saw the administration of creation, angelic beings assigned to manage stars, planets, and the forces of nature. Their obedience was flawless, and their vigilance unbroken. The horror in this heaven comes from understanding the scale of divine order and the absolute authority of Jesus over all creation. Every particle, every orbit, and every force is under his command. Enoch's visions remind us that human understanding is limited and that true obedience comes from acknowledging God's supreme authority in all aspects of life. The fifth heaven introduced the first glimpses of divine secrets, knowledge reserved for the righteous and the prepared. Here, Enoch was shown the patterns of history, the unfolding of time, and the destiny of nations. He saw glimpses of judgment and mercy, of destruction and salvation, all balanced in ways that human minds cannot fully grasp. The terror comes from the realization that God's plan is perfect and inevitable. Sin, rebellion, and faithlessness are visible here with consequences laid bare. For the faithful, these visions inspire awe, a commitment to obedience, and a deeper understanding of God's omniscience. Each of the first 5 heavens serves as a lesson for believers today. They reveal that holiness, obedience, worship, and alignment with God are not optional. They are essential for preparation, protection, and spiritual insight. Enoch's journey through these realms demonstrates that even the first layers of heaven contain both glory and terror, awe and fear, blessings and warnings. Understanding these realms challenges humanity to walk faithfully, pursue righteousness, and embrace the holiness of Jesus with reverence. The interplay of beauty and terror in these heavens teaches that the divine cannot be approached lightly. Holiness demands respect, and the unprepared are humbled by even the first glimpses of heaven. Enoch's journey shows that spiritual readiness is cultivated through faithful living, obedience, and intimacy with God. Those who seek his presence, who walk in alignment with his will, and who cultivate hearts of worship are protected, inspired, and prepared for further revelations in the higher heavens. Part 3. The last 5 heavens, secrets and terrifying revelations. The 6th through 10th heavens are where the visions granted to Enoch become both awe-inspiring and terrifying. These are the realms where the hidden realities of divine judgment, the fate of the fallen, and the mysteries of eternity are revealed. Enoch's journey into these higher heavens was not simply a continuation of observation. It was a profound encounter with truths that few humans have ever seen. The higher the heavens, the more intense the revelation, and the more impossible it became for the human mind to comprehend the majesty and justice of Jesus. In the 6th heaven, Enoch witnessed the dwelling places of the more exalted angelic hosts. These angels carried out God's will with absolute precision, maintaining order over celestial events and the spiritual domain. Their presence was overwhelming, for each being radiated power and holiness that no human could emulate. Within this heaven, Enoch also saw glimpses of the fallen angels, who had rebelled, now restrained and under divine judgment. The terror was not in fear for Enoch's safety, but in realizing the magnitude of divine authority and the consequences of disobedience. He saw firsthand that rebellion against Jesus is met with certainty and righteous correction. The 7th heaven revealed chambers of prophetic knowledge and the secrets of time itself. Here, Enoch was shown visions of human history, the rise and fall of nations, and the destiny of souls. He saw how the choices of men and women would ripple across generations, influencing the unfolding of God's plan. The knowledge was staggering, and the weight of what he saw was almost unbearable. These visions served as both a warning and a call to repentance. Humanity is accountable, and every life matters in the grand tapestry of eternity. The horror comes from realizing that no action, no thought, and no decision escapes divine awareness. In the 8th heaven, Enoch encountered the chambers where God's justice and mercy intersect. He saw places of torment for the rebellious and righteous intervention for the faithful. Here, the scale of divine justice was fully revealed. Sin and wickedness were measured, and the outcome of rebellion was certain. The terror was profound because it became clear that choices on earth have eternal consequences. Enoch's visions illustrate that Jesus' mercy is abundant, yet justice is inescapable. Those who reject the divine will, who persist in sin, and who ignore God's call, cannot evade the results of their actions. The ninth heaven was a realm of judgment and revelation where the mysteries of fallen angels and spiritual warfare were revealed. Enoch witnessed the punishment of those who had corrupted humanity and the containment of demonic forces. He saw how spiritual rebellion spreads consequences far beyond the individual, impacting nations, societies, and the spiritual fabric of the world. The terror is in the realization of how pervasive sin can be and how far-reaching divine justice extends. Yet, amidst the fear, there was also awe, an appreciation for the sovereignty, precision, and righteousness of Jesus. The faithful who walk in obedience need not fear, for they are protected and aligned with the divine plan. The 10th heaven is the ultimate realm of divine presence, where the full glory, majesty, and power of Jesus are revealed. Enoch saw the throne of God, the highest angels, and the unapproachable light that represents the holiness and authority of the Almighty. Here, the mysteries of creation, judgment, and eternity were unveiled in their entirety. Enoch understood that all things are under God's control, that the universe operates by divine will, and that holiness is absolute. The terror of this heaven is not casual fear, it is reverential awe. No human can approach this presence without humility, obedience, and a heart aligned with God. Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens teaches that divine truth is both glorious and terrifying, a combination that calls for reverence, righteousness, and vigilant faith. The last 5 heavens underscore the reality of spiritual accountability, the importance of obedience, and the seriousness of living a righteous life. They reveal the consequences of sin, the certainty of judgment, and the unimaginable holiness of Jesus. Enoch's visions show that heaven is not merely a distant concept. It is a structured, ordered, and intensely real realm where the spiritual and physical worlds intersect. His journey is a warning to humanity, a call to walk faithfully, and a reminder that holiness, reverence, and obedience are the foundation for standing in the presence of the divine. Part 4. Lessons from Enoch's Journey. Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens provides profound lessons for believers today. The first lesson is the importance of walking closely with Jesus. Enoch's righteousness, faithfulness, and intimate communion with God opened the door to visions that few humans have ever witnessed. Walking with God is not a casual practice. It requires dedication, humility, and continual alignment with His will. Those who pursue this relationship are granted insight, protection, and spiritual empowerment that can transform their lives. Another lesson is the reality of spiritual realms and angelic activity. Enoch's observations of angels, both loyal and fallen, illustrate that the unseen world is active, organized, and influential. Angels minister to the faithful, execute divine justice, and maintain order across creation. Conversely, fallen angels reveal the destructive consequences of rebellion. Believers must recognize the spiritual dimension of life and cultivate discernment, prayer, and obedience to navigate this unseen reality effectively. A third lesson is the certainty of divine justice. Enoch witnessed the restraint and punishment of the rebellious, the consequences of sin, and the administration of God's righteousness. These revelations show that sin is never ignored and that divine justice is inevitable. For believers, this lesson calls for repentance, faithfulness, and vigilance. Living in alignment with Jesus ensures protection and favor, while ignoring God's commandments invites consequences that are both temporal and eternal. Enoch's journey also emphasizes the awe-inspiring holiness and majesty of Jesus. The higher the heavens, the more radiant, ordered, and overwhelming the presence of God becomes. Even angels tremble in reverence. For humanity, this serves as both a warning and an encouragement. The faithful are called to approach life with reverence, humility, and dedication. Understanding God's holiness shapes behavior, attitudes, and spiritual priorities, fostering lives that honor Him and reflect His glory. Finally, Enoch's journey teaches the importance of preparation and readiness. The visions of heaven, judgment, and future events illustrate that eternity is certain and that choices in this life have lasting significance. The faithful are called to live expectantly, to obey daily, and to cultivate intimacy with Jesus. The knowledge of heaven's structure, the power of angels, and the certainty of divine judgment provides both encouragement and motivation. Believers are inspired to pursue holiness, embrace righteousness, and remain vigilant, knowing that one day they may stand in the presence of the Almighty, just as Enoch did. Enoch's journey reminds us that the spiritual world is vast, structured, and full of truths beyond human comprehension. It calls for humility, obedience, and continual alignment with Jesus. His experience is both terrifying and inspiring, a model of what it means to live faithfully, walk closely with God, and embrace the realities of heaven. By studying his journey, believers today can gain insight into spiritual realities, understand the seriousness of sin, and cultivate a life that is prepared to stand in awe before the glory of Jesus. Part 5. The impact of Enoch's revelations on prophecy and the last days. Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens was not simply a personal experience. It has profound implications for prophecy and the end times. The visions he received reveal the cosmic order, the certainty of judgment, and the destiny of humanity in ways that directly connect to the events of the last days. By observing the structure of heaven, the roles of angels, and the fate of the rebellious, Enoch was shown how God's plan unfolds in human history, and how the final judgment and the rapture are intricately connected to divine justice. His revelations emphasize that the spiritual and earthly realms are intertwined, and that what happens in the heavens has direct consequences on earth. The knowledge Enoch gained provides clarity on the ultimate fate of the faithful and the unfaithful. He saw the protection and favor granted to those who walk with God, as well as the punishment awaiting those who rebel. These insights are mirrored in end times prophecy in Scripture, where the righteous are preserved and the wicked are held accountable. Enoch's visions illustrate that nothing is hidden from Jesus. The plans of men, the acts of nations, and the hearts of individuals are all visible in the eternal perspective. This awareness should inspire urgency in believers today, reminding us that obedience, holiness, and vigilance are not optional. They are essential for standing in the light of God's glory. Enoch also revealed the complex hierarchy and function of angels in the last days. Some angels minister to the faithful, guiding and protecting them, while others are prepared to execute judgment. This understanding helps us comprehend spiritual warfare, the unfolding of end-time events, and the precision of God's plan. Believers are not powerless. We are participants in a divine strategy that unfolds across both earthly and heavenly realms. Recognizing the activity of angels and the certainty of divine oversight encourages faith, prayer, and spiritual awareness, equipping believers to navigate the last days with confidence and vigilance. The terrifying and awe-inspiring elements of Enoch's visions also serve as a warning. He saw the consequences of sin, rebellion, and neglect, which are vividly displayed in the higher heavens. These warnings are not meant to incite fear alone, but to awaken hearts to the seriousness of eternal accountability. The visions of judgment remind believers that the choices we make today have eternal consequences. They compel us to pursue righteousness, cultivate holiness, and live in alignment with the will of Jesus. Enoch's journey illustrates that prophecy is not abstract. It is lived, experienced, and consequential for every soul. Furthermore, Enoch's revelations foreshadow the events of the rapture and the final judgment. The suddenness and power of the divine presence, the clarity of justice, and the order of the heavens all reflect the precision with which God will bring history to its ultimate conclusion. Believers who walk in obedience, as Enoch did, will be prepared to meet Christ with joy and confidence. His journey reinforces the message that faithfulness and vigilance today are rewarded tomorrow, that preparation aligns us with divine timing, and that the mysteries of heaven, though terrifying, are meant to inspire reverence, obedience, and hope. Finally, the impact of Enoch's journey on prophecy reminds us of the interconnectedness of all things. Heaven, earth, and eternity are part of a unified plan, and the visions of Enoch reveal how divine oversight governs every aspect of existence. The faithful are called to live with awareness, to understand the significance of their actions, and to embrace the reality of eternal consequences. The revelations challenge believers to take seriously their walk with Jesus, to cultivate righteousness, and to anticipate the fulfillment of God's plan with reverence, faith, and expectancy. Conclusion. Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens is one of the most awe-inspiring and terrifying accounts in Scripture. His visions reveal the glory, majesty, and holiness of Jesus, the structure and function of the angelic realms, the certainty of judgment, and the eternal consequences of obedience and rebellion. The story of Enoch is both a warning and a call, a warning of the reality of sin and the power of divine justice, and a call to live faithfully, righteously, and in intimate communion with Jesus. The lessons from Enoch's journey are clear. Walking with God is essential, obedience is vital, and spiritual readiness is non-negotiable. By studying the revelations of the 10 heavens, believers today can gain insight into the unseen spiritual world, understand the consequences of sin, and cultivate lives that are prepared for the fulfillment of prophecy and the events of the last days. Enoch's experience reminds us that the universe is vast, the divine order is perfect, and the holiness of Jesus is absolute. For believers, this journey is a source of hope, inspiration, and motivation. It encourages us to pursue holiness, embrace righteousness, and walk closely with Jesus. The terrifying elements of Enoch's vision serve to awaken our hearts, to deepen our reverence, and to strengthen our faith. We are reminded that obedience and faithfulness position us to participate in the fullness of God's plan and to meet the Almighty with confidence, joy, and readiness. As we reflect on Enoch's journey, let us be inspired to live with vigilance, to cultivate intimacy with Jesus, and to walk in alignment with His will. Let the awe and terror of the 10 heavens awaken a deeper commitment in our hearts to pursue holiness, to obey faithfully, and to prepare for the glorious presence of Jesus. The visions of Enoch should terrify the unprepared, but they inspire the faithful to seek God, obey His word, and walk with Him daily, knowing that one day we too may witness the majesty and power of the divine.